Welcome to SoundBytes AI Tools. This is our first session of the year, so it's great that we could all get together for this session. As always, it's our practical, no-nonsense virtual session where members can share their real experiences, their good experiences and bad experiences. And this time we're going to be focusing on AI tools. So I had some great kind of feedback from everyone who's taking part about what they want to talk about. Bit of crossover in terms of some tools, but also lots of variety with others as well. So I think there's going to be a great kind of experience of kind of just learning about what everyone's using, what's useful, what's not. And we're going to have 18 of you presenting today. You're all going to take the mic for 3 minutes each to cut through the noise and show exactly what works and what doesn't. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to our first speaker, who is Kathy. Kathy, are you there?
I am here.
Fantastic.
I'm going to be very
I'm going to
speedy.
start the buzzer, start the timer. So over to you.
Start the clock, because I have to be somewhere anyway, I'm afraid. I'm going to have to shoot. I'm gutted I can't stay for the rest of this. But I thought I'd just share something that we used. I don't expect you to look at all of the detail on this slide. It's just to give you a sense of what we were trying to do. At Aposto, we provide software for live events, and our focus has always been on safety and experience and a system, for example, that trains and briefs people better that are working at events. So our focus has been on safety and people working at events, but we've expanded that. And the reason we've expanded what we're doing is that we realized that there was no sort of data or incident reporting system. First of all, in football, which there now is, which is this. Crowd Vista, but also in music venues. And we're hoping with an Innovate UK grant, fingers crossed, to be able to explore this further. What we needed to do was be able to analyze a lot of data, quite simply. We were bringing in a lot of data, as you might see here, from operational and safety incidents, visitor experience, venue details. And what football wanted us to do is help them basically to analyze that data. And to build the AI capability for that, as anyone knows, for a startup would have taken us a long time. So simply what we did was use Lusmo, which introduced dashboards and conversational AI, which basically meant that we could take a massive shortcut in terms of being able to demonstrate what we can do. If I flip over, I'm not going to do a full demo here, but can you see now my dashboard with lots of blue and I can't see what you can see on Zoom. So I don't know whether you and I are seeing a different screen. Can anyone tell me?
We see it.
Good. I saw our hands up there.
Yeah, we can see it. Thanks.
So you see the example of football, and the idea is basically that we were able to do the same with venues. One of the issues, as many of you all know, that venues have is like licensing issues where people will say, oh, but there's all terrible drunkenness and all of these awful things are happening. And you can't have a license anymore. In football, what it tends to manifest itself is in we're going to charge you lots of money to police outside the game. And so what we're doing with this is being able to reduce policing costs with actual data. If anybody came across the Aston Villa Maccabi Haifa incident recently where a police chief had to resign, he wouldn't have had to resign if this system had been used properly, because this actually provides the data that is needed. And yeah, I mean, I won't go into details on Lesmo, but you can basically see that we feed any data into it. It'll give us any dashboard, and it'll also give us conversational IQ. I'm not going to bore you with this now, but it basically means once we've got this live for music, the venues will be able to go in and find out what's been happening. The example I always give is Brixton, where 2 people died, obviously at Brixton Academy, but a very similar incident had happened in Birmingham just a matter of days beforehand. We want to provide that data and that knowledge so that that's what we can prevent in future.
Perfect timing, Kathy. I love it.
There we
Great
go.
example to set. Love it.
Whistle stop tour.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Are you recording? Because I really want to see what everyone else has, but I have to go.
Yeah, appreciate you jumping in first.
Right.
Thanks for that, Kathy. See you soon.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
See you soon. Take care. So brilliant. I've got up next. I've actually got Steve Rimmer and or Alex Deadman from Tickets for Good. Are you there, Steve or Alex?
I'm Alex, and I am here. Yes.
Excellent. I'm just gonna hang on.
Steve here as well.
I'll just reset.
Okay. Do you want to do it, Steve? Are you going to do it,
yeah.
Steve?
Go ahead. Thanks for attempting to fill in for me, but I'm here as long as we've got a good connection.
Cool.
Over to you guys.
Thanks a lot. Great to be here. I'm Steve Rimmer, the founder and CEO of Tickets for Good. We help events to give away free or heavily discounted tickets to people doing good, healthcare workers, charity workers, teachers. And interestingly, we've been using AI in a various number of different ways. And one of the good things about this opportunity to talk to everyone, it makes you think, how are we using AI? And so we've been using it for the longest in sales, primarily using software called Apollo.io. And that's to automate some of the lead gen, give you contacts. And we've been moving actually from Notion to Salesforce more recently. And Salesforce is our focus on the sales CRM. And there's actually quite a lot of AI in there as well. And I was actually quite impressed. I'd heard that it was from an enterprise perspective, quite large, and there was a lot to think about. But actually, from the startup sort of lens, there's a startup program in Salesforce. It's reasonably priced, and there's a lot to offer. You do kind of need to know. It helps a lot if you know what you're doing. Versus kind of HubSpot, we found was easier to engage and move forward. But one of our team members is an expert in Salesforce, so that's what we've focused on. In terms of other areas, we're doing a lot of use of AI in customer services. So Zendesk is what we use, and we use a lot of the AI tools within Zendesk, especially around customer services, the chatbot, but also a lot of the templates and the translation tools. So that's been a big help for us. In general, I'm a paid user of ChatGPT, so I'm using ChatGPT all the time as a paid user. And we're actually considering what we will do as a business. But we're on Google Suite, so we already get access to Gemini and the Google Suite tools. And recently, I connected Gemini to our Drive and email Gmail system and started playing around with that. And it was okay. It pulled out a few things, and it's definitely helpful. Plus, there's no cost because we're already paying for Google Suite already for the whole team, and so everyone could leverage that. Versus the cost of the ChatGPT account, I think is something like £20 or $20 from memory. But I've always been a paid user because I felt that if you're using it for work, I believe it's more kind of sort of accurate. And I've been training my own sort of I guess space within ChatGPT quite significantly, and it does come back with a lot of the sort of the useful updates and helps me fast forward, especially around strategy in particular. The other one I've been using for a long time now is Superhuman. And so that's an email client that sits above our emails. So it sits on top of Gmail or Outlook. That's got a lot of AI tools built in. I particularly use the snippets and also the sort of fixed spelling and grammar, but you can also write emails, but you can spot the tells like thrilled and truly quite easily, quite quickly. That's me done. Thanks a lot, Matt.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you, Steve. Great. I'm going to introduce now Ria and Jali Dishband from Hey Maple. Hi, Ria.
Hi,
Hi there.
hope everyone's good.
Over to
So
you.
I thought today I'd talk a little bit about different AI tools that we use in our work, Claude and Gemini, but specific functionalities of them outside of the chat interface. I'm just gonna try and share my screen now and see if it works. Yeah. Oh, I think it's trying to make me quit and reopen, so I'll just talk about it. So basically, I use Claude Code, and Claude Code is a coding assistant that works inside your terminal. So that's really useful for us when we're doing multiple different things like ideation, code reviews of our code base, and also the specific things that take a long time for us to manually code, say a test that we're trying to test out a new functionality that we're trying to release. It would take us hours essentially to hand write tests for that functionality. But if we use Claude Code in the terminal, the usefulness is that it allows full access to your code base. Now, obviously, there is your own security risks with doing so, so do that at will. But for us, I find it quite useful because it's able to pinpoint the exact parts of the code base, read specific files, and then suggest changes for it over time. It also has a auto compact feature. So that means like when you go down and you use a lot of it, it will compact the conversation and allow you to continue on as if you were in the same conversation without having to start afresh. So I prefer a lot of context or memory when I work, so that's why I like it. Andy, who works with me, on the other hand, likes to use Google AI Studio. That one doesn't have context. Every time you refresh, it will basically start from new. So you have to re-explain it each time. But if you have 1 to 2 files, then it's really useful for rewriting, and you can switch between different he's nodding. So I think I got it right. You can switch between models as well. So you can use more powerful Google models for free. So even if you aren't paying for Google Suite, it's still quite useful to use. And then the last thing, which is we got accepted into a research beta for this. So I'm not sure whether it's open yet or not, but Claude for Chrome. So that's like a browser extension. Now, again, they did say that there is security risks with this. Like, for example, if you allow it to access a bunch of websites, that website then has a malicious script injected, then you might run into some problems. But I use it a lot for research. So, say, for example, if I'm trying to search for a bunch of research on music, machine learning techniques, then I can let it run in the browser and it will collect all of the different research papers that I need and condense it all together for me in the end while I'm doing other work. And I can go back to it then and see exactly what it's come up for. Again, saving me a good amount of hours. So
That was a great download. Thank you, Ria, and great to see so many people here based at home today, dotted around the office. I bagsed the boardroom upstairs today, so I'm quite pleased with that. Great stuff. Over to the ROEX guys. I've got Tom or David. Don't know who wants to present
Yeah,
this.
it's me today. It's Tom.
Hello, Tom.
Yeah, Dave can't make it. He sends his apologies. Had a family emergency. But yeah, just kind of at a basic level. So we've got at ROEX, we create intelligent audio tools. We create AI-powered tools for music artists and for the music industry. We've got a core team of 6 members currently that find kind of real value across our kind of whole business to kind of supercharge our team and effectively kind of grow our team within the members we've got in a kind of synthetic way, I guess. But at a basic level, as you would expect, we're using kind of Chat GPT for kind of basic functionality, general utility. We do a lot of kind of content creation, partnership posts, ideation, and obviously don't use the content kind of definitively, but use it to kind of generate ideas, to kind of supercharge the work we're doing, to get to the end results we're happy with kind of quicker. Day to day, we're using Granola for meeting notes and note taking, and find that kind of a lot less intrusive than other platforms and note takers we've seen. And a lot of the feature sets they're building in, you can kind of like interact with it. It's got like chat box, you can just interact with the meeting notes and get kind of good feedback from that, and find that kind of really valuable for our kind of sales and partnership side of our business. On the kind of technical side of what we're doing, we use Claude. We find that that works really well for us, along with Cursor as well. So that's kind of supercharged our development team, both on kind of the web-based development, but also on kind of audio-related tasks as well. A number of our technical team started using voice activation and using Whisper Flow for that as well. So talking to the products rather than typing into them, and find that kind of really effective for kind of getting things done even quicker. I'm a bit afraid of talking to machines myself, but I'm going to try and give that a go. But some of our team are finding that very useful. Within Claude as well, we've kind of been optimizing our ad spend as well. So on the marketing side of our business, copying in the kind of massive data reports you get from Google keywords and similar, and optimizing kind of how our ad spend is being operated on those systems. So we don't have time to kind of be over everything, the minute details, but using these systems to kind of get us to where we need to be quicker and getting the results we want to kind of take us to the next step. And Claude find that kind of better for strategy than some of the other models that are available as well. We've been using tools within Figma Make to prototype designs initially, and allow kind of technically gifted design team members to kind of design things and get the look and feel for technical products as they wish as well. And lastly, kind of first skim of legal documents, generally with either Claude or ChatGPT. Thank you.
Nice one. Thank you, Tom. That was really useful. Thank you. Over to Mark Bamford at Victor's now.
Hello, guys. My voice is gone, so
No.
I'm not going to take 3 minutes here. Um, it's nice to see so many familiar faces, I would say, on here as well. Okay, so excuse me. At Victor's, pretty much we're using a lot of the tools you guys are speaking about, but the one or two that in particular I thought were worth mentioning. I was going to put the information I provided to Matt in the chat, so you can go and take a look as well. So there's two companies. One is called AZ. We're talking about putting a conversational chat bot on our website. So if you come there and you're from music, or you're from politics, or you're from whatever, fishing, cooking, because at Victor's we're in the video space, and really video is video. Um, that chatbot will actually provide you with all the information you need and actually set up a meeting for you, look into my calendar, book a meeting for you, all that kind of stuff. So it's really about turning a website inquiry into a meeting from that perspective. So that's the first goal with what we're doing with AZ. The second is with Craig Fenton, who's an old advisor of ours. Used to be head of product and strategy at Google in London for Europe. So he's a pretty senior Google guy back in the day. He's almost 5 years ago now. Now he's started Fenton Innovation, and in a forward-looking kind of status, we're doing a fundraise at the moment, and instead of building an organization of all humans, we're definitely going to have an agentic AI layer at the base of our organization. On top of that sit, full-time people. On top of that sit fractional people or experts. So we're really looking to use AI as we move forward in the organization to transform how we actually drive efficiency and communicate at Victor's. I guess the mantra there is, I don't want to look back in 2028 at an organization that we just built traditionally in a traditional fashion and go, hey, actually, it would have been a lot smarter if we built it using some of the tools that are just coming out now. So we're sort of trying to get ahead of the curve on that one. The last thing, which is not mentioned in those notes that I put on the chat, if you wanted to look at those two companies, or reach out to me direct and I can introduce you. I've just signed an agreement with a San Francisco-based AI company. It's a secret project, so to say, but I hear a lot of people using ChatGPT on this call. What basically it is, it's taking the idea of ChatGPT and the LLMs, plugging into that, but putting some middleware in there so you can put all of your private information about your business, your finances, and everything in a secure location that actually their AI can actually arbitrage between the LLMs and your proprietary information, so it keeps that secure. Now, what's really cool about what they're doing, they've put on top of that 36 behavioral rules that actually reflect my behavior. So actually, it's going to start giving me answers to questions that are more in line with my values, rather than anything else. So
Brilliant.
the AI becomes a little bit more like me, which is
Thank
maybe a
you.
bad thing. I don't know.
Thank you,
Anyway, that's
Mark.
it.
That was excellent. Yeah, some really interesting ones you talked us through there. That's awesome. Great stuff, and get well soon. Over to you, Simon Scott at Push Entertainment. I think you might be muted. Simon, maybe? Yep.
Yeah, so this was all a bit existential for us because we're a time and materials engineering business. So we kind of like made a few sort of fundamental decisions, I think, about the back end of 2024. And I'm going to share what we've learned along the way. The first decision that we made was that we were going to burn our own house down and no one else was going to go and do it. So we ran head forward to see what implications it would have on us. We then took away the job titles of all of the developers, because the theory being that job roles were going to change. So we got everyone into the mindset that change was coming, and we just called everyone a principal engineer. And then thirdly, we sort of ran headlong into documentation. We chose Notion for our documentation because it's in Markdown language, and pretty much for 18 months, everything we do, we've just been documenting in some way or another. So that was like the foundational background of where we were. Where did we start? Well, the first thing we did was we gave an engineer the most painful, difficult spreadsheet that if you run a services business, you're always trying to understand your supply and demand. and we used Cursor that someone was mentioning, and we kind of like spent about sort of like 2 months turning that into Roger, which was our internal dashboard. That whole process of doing an internal project taught us more than anything else. So for about February of last year, we kind of got a view of what was important and what wasn't important. We're now at sort of like the start of 26, and all of our 15 engineers spend most of their lives within Cursor, with all of our code bases under what we call Cursor control, but fundamentally with sets of Cursor rules that manage the control over all of those projects. And we use that for reviewing code, implementing new functionality, creating documentation, and empowering engineers. We then Google AI Studio, because we just let anyone use any tool they wanted to use. All of our product people are now using AI Studio rather than Figma to go and build prototypes and handing over the first stages of the code to the developers. So it goes from AI Studio into Cursor, and then developers work on it. We gave all of the admin staff ChatGPT. And what we really found, we gave them Claude, then ChatGPT. And what we really found was we fell in love with transcribing meetings in Google Meets. And we now use the transcription of meetings and conversations to generate most of our output. So we have to do statement of works. Those of you who do statement of works will basically see all of that stuff. We now have prompts that basically will take a meeting transcript and will turn that meeting transcript into the finished document that we've got to do for the client. And that works. So we're kind of going from what would have been 2 days work into about 2 hours work that you then spend a couple of hours refining. And now we've got all of our company knowledge connected into ChatGPT, and someone mentioned Whisper. Willow is another one. I think fall in love to voice to prompt is a really good way to go. There you go.
Brilliant. That was great. Yeah, great to hear your sort of journey through all that stuff as well. Thanks for that context, Simon. Brilliant. Over to are you there, Ruben Neri, Gig Realm?
Yep. How's it going?
Hello, Ruben. How you doing?
Every day's a blessing, bud. How are you?
And I'm very good, thank you.
Oh yeah.
Over to you, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Perfect. So as Matt so greatly put, my name's Ruben Neri. I'm one of the founders and COOs of Gig Realm. Essentially, we're an online company that helps hospitality venues connect with acts. We take care of contracting, invoicing, all that kind of boring stuff that no one wants to do, along with promotion. I'm happy to hop on to 2 usage cases that we have with AI, but I also wanted to give an example of how AI really needs to be deliberate and make sure that you're benefiting your users. It's been a lot of kind of happiness on this call, so I wanted to bring it down a little bit. So we had probably about a year and a half ago started developing out AI on our system that would inform a venue based off acts around their area, who was getting booked a lot within their price range, and then saying, hey, this would be a great act that would fit your venue. Even whenever I say it back, I think, that's a great idea. Who wouldn't want to take that up? Who wouldn't want to take that up was our venue users on the platform, who are the ones that pay the bills. So it's one of those things that you do really need to make sure that you're being deliberate, you're going to your end user first and kind of fleshing things out to see it works. But obviously it's not all doom and gloom. We've had fantastic uptick whenever it comes to our customer service with a company called Tidio. I know people have mentioned a couple different ones. We've tried out a few, but this one kind of really sit home with us. Just a couple numbers that we've had. We've had 93% of our questions asked into our system answered by the chatbot. Very high success rates and customer satisfaction, which is fantastic, and saved us an estimated just shy of 300 hours that would have gone to our customer service team. This past year, our business in terms of total amount of gigs has grown 316% year on year. So the amount of money that would go into having people that are on the ground willing to take these calls and making sure that they understand different kind of regional accents around the UK, because we all are over the place, is pretty difficult. So I don't really know what we would do without that now, to be honest with you. That's something that's really instrumental in our business. And it also helps our customer success team. I hate that term, but it's what we use. actually have more impactful outreach. If it's a true bug within the system, we can action it. But if it's sales related, if it's really hand holding, whenever it comes to some of our clients, they're much more likely to know what exactly is going on and they don't have to waste our time. Something that someone mentioned earlier, which I definitely need to look into, if you can introduce me to that Silicon Valley company that's doing the protection around ChatGPT, because that's something that we're always very nervous about. But ChatGPT, everyone on my team has a subscription to it. And then what we'll do is build out a marketing plan, say for the year, put it through to ChatGPT, making sure that we're hitting key dates around UK holidays, all the rest, help build out our, large marketing kind of channels and email follow throughs and just do it on that. It's all about kind of cutting costs, especially now.
Great stuff. Yeah, that's really useful. Thank you for that, Ruben. I'm going to hand over now to Sinan Berkasoy at Sonic Lab. Over to you, Sinan.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hi, I'm Sinan from Sonic Lab. So our work focuses on audio software development, and we utilize AI frequently for many tasks. These range from coding and R&D, product documentation and marketing and accounting. I myself began using generative AI 3 years ago with ChatGPT. However, I have since switched to Claude. Currently, I use Claude Code for coding assistance. For Xcode projects, I run it in the terminal, and I keep it strictly limited to the project folder for security reasons. And for Unity projects, I access it directly inside Visual Studio Code. For non-coding tasks, I use Gemini Pro. It fits perfectly into the Google ecosystem. We also use N8N for purchase automation and serial code generation for licensing. And it also helps us integrate AI within specific tools. For example, we built a RAG system for data retrieval. Most recently, we took the next step. We do integrate LLMs directly into our audio apps. We do this by accessing the Claude API on the cloud from the app itself. On my workflow, AI is now essential. However, after several projects with varying complexity, I am confident of one thing. So it's impossible to create a product from A to Z with just AI. In my approach, I do use AI on a smaller scale. So I generate components, I test them, I iterate continuously, and then I combine them into the main project. So I cannot step away from the development process. I have to know what is happening inside the code itself. And we have accepted that AI is not 100% accurate. Honestly, even if it's 80% accurate, that's fine with me. So I know I have to deal with the rest. On the other hand, I believe no human developer can beat the speed of AI in coding. So while there are cons, there are many pros. But I see AI as a mostly useful tool for generating code if you are a developer. That's it.
Great stuff. Thank you, Sinan.
Thank you.
Stop for that. Handing over now to Tommy D. You there,
Hey
Tommy?
everybody.
Hello, Tommy.
How you doing? Great so far. Learned so much. Thank you very much, as always. So for those that don't know, I'm Tommy D. I'm a music producer and a songwriter. I'm also a tech entrepreneur. Founded a company, Token Tracks, 6 years ago, and we build Web3 infrastructure for the creative industries. So predominantly around membership and loyalty, fractionalized IP, collectability, AI data verification. So lots of different stuff, but predominantly I'm a creative person. I'm not a dev. I'm not a businessman. I make music. That's my thing. So I've been using AI for quite some time, actually, without me really knowing it, I think. But predominantly how my workflow tends to go for everything is Whisper Flow. Always. I love Whisper Flow. It's brilliant. It's best for talking in. I tend to talk better than I type. I'm not really a typer, so I tend to talk better. I get my ideas across, and then I stick that into another AI to kind of condense it down. Mail Butler I use as an add-on to Mac Mail. That kind of just sort of sorts things out, makes it and summarizes stuff for me, which is really good. Fireflies for meetings. I live by Fireflies. It's just because my memory's not so good. I always go back. It's brilliant the way it does a concise outline of it. I can find things really quickly. I can cross-reference stuff through the website. It's really, really good. My main AI is Perplexity. I really liked it from day one because it used all the different models, and I'm more of an experimenter when it comes to all this stuff. So I really use that mostly for search. I pretty much use that. I don't even bother searching in Google anymore. I just use Perplexity for search. I also use Perplexity for putting together kind of reports or ideas or stuff like that. And then I use ChatGPT as well, but more for like creative stuff. So creative writing. I try and do this kind of side-by-side thing where I put the same prompt in both and have a look and see how they work, because I'm really interested to see how the brains work. And then when I make music, well, as you know, everybody uses Suno. Anybody that tells you is not is lying. Suno Studio is incredible. I really, really love it. You're never going to create a track from scratch with Suno. That would be stupid. And in the same way that you would never, ever create anything from scratch using AI, you're going to work with it like a tool. And Suno Studio is just amazing for adding and finding little pieces and bits and keyboards and stuff like that. It's great for working out BVs. It's really good. Ace Studio is amazing, absolutely great for putting together like actual audio parts, because it's much more pro orientated. You can fits right into DAWs like Logic and Ableton and stuff. That's really good. I use Soundverse for stem separation. I had an issue recently with a Katie Tunstall track that I wrote 25 years ago, and I couldn't find the original stems for it. They wanted to put it out, so I just used Soundverse to cut that up, and it was brilliant. That worked good. I use Isotope RX for cleaning stuff up, Master Channel for checking on mastering, and I've just installed Claude Bot. So I think I'm now handing over my ability to be a human being to Claude Bot, and that's it. I'll go and sit on a beach somewhere and get bored.
Yeah, love it. Thank you for that, Tommy. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Perplexity. I think you recommended it to me in the first place, in fact. So yeah, use that all the time. That's great. Thank you. Over to you, Vitaly Gozatinsky at Vandal.
Yes, hello everybody. Great to be here and lots of really good stuff. Hopefully I'll be able to contribute to the goodness. So I want to talk a little bit quickly about how at Vandal we use AI to avoid pain. So we basically make lives of musicians and music organizations easier by giving the power of tools like Dropbox and DocuSign inside of the kind of user experience of WhatsApp or chat applications. So we have solutions for creators as well as orgs. And we're a pretty small team, core membership of 3, and we have a lot of hats and a lot of things that we have to do as we're growing and servicing our customers. And so we try to keep our tool stack pretty light, but it's still like just typing it out is like, oh my Lord, like there's even more than this, but this is maybe like the main things that we have: Confluence for documentation, Slack for communication, Linear for tickets and tasks, HubSpot, although we're now moving to Brevo, for leads and CRM, Google Drive for files, and then we use Google Meet. And I also live and die by Fireflies, especially because it has really good support for Finnish. We are Finland and Estonia based, so we have the very big need for multilingual transcription, and that helps a lot. And so what I have done is I've built a thing called Vandal OS using Cursor and Claude Code. And this basically is a centralized operating system that brings all of these tools together and helps automate a lot of things. And this is basically my thesis that I'm trying to say to everybody, that don't try to find the tool that fits you the best. Nowadays, you should try and build your own tools that help automate a lot of the things that take up a lot of your time. So it sends us daily digests telling us what to focus on based on our tools. So what we have in Linear, because of course we set our cycles there and our initiatives and what we want to do and need to do. We have documentation when we do strategic exploration, when we're writing things. It helps us centralize all of those things. We have our own news aggregator. So of course, MTUK does a great job of bringing us a lot of news, but we kind of complement that with our own news aggregator so that we can keep tabs on our competitors, as well as what's happening in the music tech and music industry as a whole, as well as giving us nice little factoids like this 150K new song added to Spotify daily. So it kind of surprises us with the kind of little tidbits that it brings. And so it also, AI can build documentation about itself. So if anyone needs to know how to use Vandal OS, it actually has its own guidance. We have our own chatbot, so we're actually indexing all of this information into our Superbase as well as Pinecone's RAG, which gives us our own index. We don't have to pay an outside service. We have full data autonomy for all of our information. We have a financial dashboard, so we just export out of our bank. We upload a CSV and keep our financials up to date, so the whole team knows where we're going with our runway, etc. And because we have some team members who aren't fluent in the music industry, even built a learning center and gamified it so that people can learn about it. And we have, for example, this automation that every time we have a weekly, Vandal OS takes Firefly's API, automates it and puts it there. And so main tools are Cursor and Claude Code. Build your own tools, try it out yourself. Don't just try to hunt for places to give your money, because this costs us €0 to run. Thank you.
Nice one, Vitaly. That's great. Over to you, Laura White at Music Video Marketplace.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm the founder and CEO of Music Video Marketplace. I have been a music video director for 15 years, so I don't come from a massive tech background, but for the last 6 years, I have been trying to build a tech platform called Music Video Marketplace, and we enable musicians to create video content online in a matter of minutes. And basically, the idea behind it was, as a musician, I've always been, how do we make their journey as simple as possible and as fast as possible? And one of the big headaches musicians were having on our site was having to search through the catalog. They found it just more hard work, and they needed to. I find we were constantly helping them and helping them choose the video for their song. So we actually implemented this really cool AI tool from a company called Musio, Musio, who are now owned by SoundCloud. And what Musio does for us is actually it analyzes the song on the site, and then it matches the song with the perfect video out of our catalog. So we take out lots and lots of time out of the artist's hands by implementing this. I'm just going to show it really, really quickly. So Musio AI listens to the song. It then pulls out important meta tagging for us. So it's looking at genre, mood, energy, the BPM. And it does take a couple of seconds. It's not super fast, but it's good. And then what it does, it then cross-references that meta tagging system with our meta tagging system, and recommends the perfect batch of videos for the musicians. And then the musicians can quite literally Tinder swipe for their perfect video. Which I'm going to show you. So it's analyzed this song, and it's got the BPM, the energy, the electronic genre. And then I'm going to go into my results, and it's given me all these lovely results of videos that I could possibly use for my song. And then I can go in and I can edit these videos. I can add them to cart. I can preview them. I can see my song with them before I buy. It's try before you buy, which is great. So by us implementing the Musio AI API into our platform, not only has it allowed us to shorten the customer route and their customer success journey, it's also enabled us to build our app and our API that we will be launching in the next couple of months. That's it.
Good stuff. Thank you, Laura. That's brilliant. Over to Yannick Pantring at Beehive. You there, Yannick?
Yeah, hi guys, thanks for having me. So I'm actually representing Cryomix here, and we help artists get release ready with AI mixing and mastering. So for my personal workflow, I'm pretty basic, I think. So ChatGPT mainly for writing mainly because of the memory functionality. So it basically knows everything about me at this point. I use Perplexity most for scheduled tasks and crawls. I really enjoy getting like a daily or monthly or weekly newsletter that I've set up myself, which is really, really cool. And I don't know if you've tried it before, but Gemini, especially for the deep research, I really enjoy that. I think I found that pretty much the best research as on the market right now. I'm also a huge fan of Granola for meetings because it's just not that in your face. And from a company side, yeah, we use Notion, especially for like company organization stuff. I use Minus that Meta just acquired them for a couple million or billions. I use them a lot for MVPs or like click dummies because I'm not the technical guy myself, and I just have the website. I send it over to my dev guy to kind of get the idea across, which really helps me. We use Cursor for the coding part. Sentry helps us a lot with performance monitoring. We just went live with a new version, and quite a few bugs came up. And Sentry actually helped us basically pinpointing where the bugs come from, and also you can give it access to your code base, and it basically tries to figure out where exactly it went wrong. And then also what Vitaly said with build it yourself, we're all also a big fan of that. We build our own Bravo system now. We have we tried out Churnkey to like churn reduction tool, which we build ourselves now as well. And just in general, in the back end with the new version, we now have an AI chatbot, like an agentic approach to mixing and mastering, where you can text with your mix back and forth, and it basically gives you an idea how you give it an idea how you want your song to sound, and we help you get there. So in the back end, there are a bunch of rack systems, a bunch of assistants. Every single instrument basically has its own chatbot that you can talk to, or that basically the orchestrator takes into account. And that's kind of what we do. And yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
Thanks, Yannick, and yeah, apologies that the actual name of the company is Cryo. Recent news of an update there, so appreciate that. Great stuff. And handing over now to Irem at Portal Solutions.
Hi.
Hi there.
I'm Portal Solutions, and because we're tiny, my first mistake with AI tools was buying in this all-in-one tools such as Central AI, where there's like a bunch of helpers and they're claiming to grow your company while you sleep. But to me, I think it didn't turn out to be working. It's more of like lose your weight when you sleep, like everything in one place. I don't think it can be possible at this point because they're all they're still wrapping around GPT. So I think I lost a lot of time realizing it's better to get closer to the underlying models. So I'm using separate tools, like some of the ones that you mentioned, like Figma for product design and LLMs for legal and contract review. I think it's the most efficient use because legal work in the UK is very expensive and slow, but also very structured. So I think it's easier to automate this. And my recent use case was when I was preparing for my patent application. My patent attorney, I asked how to reduce the cost of the application, and they suggested using AI assistance. So with AI assistance, the draft takes twice less time, and then it results in a much better quality patent application. Of course, there are risks to that, but as far as I understand, the models that the tools for lawyers are they don't disclose or train your model based on anything you disclose, which is crucial for patents, obviously. So I saved a lot of money, and I wanted to share it with you in case some of you are contemplating IP protection, to consider asking your patent attorney. There's way of reducing the cost of AI. And then for marketing, yeah, as I said, I prefer using different separate tools, but for marketing, we're still brainstorming. We're trying to do similar else. But I'm excited to hear what you use for marketing for startups.
That's great. Thank you so much, Orem. And now I'm rushing a little bit because we've got quite a few to get through and might go over slightly, but we'll try and fit in as many as possible. So over to the submix guys. I've got Paul or Doug.
Yeah, you've got me. Doug's busy today. I'm
Paul.
not going to introduce myself, but I'll share my email later. People can reach out. I'm happy to answer questions or share more detail. I want to make the most of the time. So I think one of the most powerful things we're using is actually Fathom for note taking, and we use it a lot more than just for video calls in general. It's got a really cool transcribing feature where you have different templates. So it could be for a sales call, could be for internal team meeting with action items and organizing your notes that way. It could be for product discussions, etc. So, for example, several people have mentioned things like sales follow-up, scope of works, things like that. We do that. We also do a lot of things around product. So we do use Claude Code for some things. I use Replit. I've also tested Lovable. I'll talk about that a bit. The key thing to making those things work is how good your prompts are going to be. Probably obvious. And so we'll get onto a Fathom call with sort of preset questions and interview each other and collect a whole bunch of feedback or do like a brainstorming and then take those notes and even go further to develop really good prompts in ChatGPT paid and then take those in. And you can even then with Claude Code develop further for PRD. And that helps to really shape the questions and create follow-up questions and dive things in. It saves a lot of time and it gets everyone on the same page versus just writing a huge PRD to begin with and then having to go through a question and answer period. So it's sped up the cycles a lot. I've been using Replit quite a bit to build landing pages and do other kinds of tests and even to build onboarding pages and things like that internally for loading content in and for our customers. So for example, we're working with Roland on our marketplace code to upload courses. And so we could quickly build forms for them to load in all the images, content, etc., with character counts and image resizing tools and things like that. But we're going to start to shift that over to Claude Code. Doug's training me for better or for worse. And I've seen we tested Lovable. I found that the initial UX stuff looked a bit better, but the code was not as good. But I do advise a company that's using Lovable and Windsurf to move the code once they do tests into their core code base for those of you who are looking at some of those things so they can get really quick MVPs up and move it over. And then finally, I would recommend anyone who's used Zapier to drop that in like a gum loop. And it ends really good as well for these kinds of integrations, but maybe a little too heavy for a lot of things. Using Gumloop to do everything from connecting our internal services like Notion and Linear to SendGrid, whatever it might be, but also to do research. So I can connect it to our social media accounts and then our Notion, and it can go and look at competitor sites or other sites and like keep track of any important changes that I flag, so that we can have like a one-page view. So from a marketing point of view, I think Gumloop will be really helpful for you. Cool. I'll end there. Give you.
Good stuff, Paul. Thank you. Over to Helen Sartori at Beatport.
Hi, everyone. So what are we doing at Beatport? Anyone who doesn't know, we are a music company that operates a few different brands, but all across kind of music retail, streaming, software, and music sales, essentially. We are about 200 people, about 130 million in revenue. So just as it might be interesting to hear from a kind of mid-sized enterprise level what we're doing with AI at the moment. We are a GCP customer, so like a lot of people on here, we are Gemini first. That was a pretty big move for us because we had to stop a lot of our developers putting large amounts of our source code into ChatGPT when they weren't meant to be doing that. So once we had a closed system, I think that helped everybody a lot. And like other people have been saying, we've also used it, for querying legal contracts, for doing business insights and things like that. One thing that's tricky about Beatport is that we're sitting on a lot of data that we don't own, right? We're sitting on catalog data, metadata that belongs to the rights holders, and we don't have the rights to do whatever we like with it. We can't use it to train AIs or put it into third-party products willy-nilly. So anytime when we are using AI in relation to underlying metadata of the catalog, we have to go through an approval process, and that's pretty strict. A few places where we have done that is in music identification. We have a remix program whereby DJs and producers can submit remixes to be featured on the platform, and we use PECs to as a double check to make sure that we know exactly what's in that remix and we can report on it correctly and pay the right royalties. We also have a track ID feature coming out soon on our mobile app, which is a bit like Shazam, but it's kind of specifically designed for dance music environments. And we're using Sequence as a vendor to help us with that. So those are a couple of types of use cases where we would go to an outside vendor to get a specific tool and go through the process of getting approved rather than build something ourselves or get it off the shelf from one of the larger partners. There are other places where the team likes to use AI. I know Lovable is very popular with our product strategy team for coming up with demos, and our customer support teams use all the AI features on Zendesk and things like that. But we tend to, at the moment, be looking at AI add-on tools to existing third-party vendors' products rather than, getting a specific tool for its AI capabilities. I would say, as a personal note, I am not a huge user of ChatGPT, and I find it a little bit of a bugbear when I ask my team to do something, and the first response is, I'll ask ChatGPT, because it doesn't replace going to speak to your suppliers and going to speak to your customers. So I do sometimes have to remind them that that's still part of the job, like talking to people. But that's kind of where we're at with AI.
Great stuff. Thank you, Helen. And I'm going to hand over to Jason Wilbur at Coordinate.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Nice to be with all of you today. Quick background on us. After 30 years as a professional musician, I started a software company at Coordinate. My co-founder and I are developing a new expressive data layer for music creation. At a high level, it's about creating and exploring music at the pattern level instead of editing note by note. And while our tech is not rooted in AI, like the rest of you, I'm using a lot of AI tools in my everyday work. So I would say the first one I started using a lot was ChatGPT. I found it really useful for market research, developing user personas, doing research on other companies, whether those are potential partners or licensees for us or competitors. And then on a personal and professional level, I found it really useful as a coach or a tutor when I need to brush up on or learn about from scratch a technical topic, something scientific or mathematical or something about code or technology. Is fantastic because you can ask as many follow-up questions as you need. You can get it to present, a logical order of topics and all the things you need to learn to work your way up from wherever you are to wherever you want to get. So found that to be really useful. Have been using Claude a lot more recently. I find it's really good for research and giving feedback and critiques on plans and conclusions we've made. On both of those platforms, the projects feature I found to be really useful because you can organize your threads into topics. You can also provide some common context and background documentation and other things, specific instructions that will apply to all the threads in that project. So that's been really useful. I would echo others in finding that these tools help you get to 70 or 80% really quickly. And then the last 20% is still a lot of manual fine-tuning, fact-checking, personalizing, putting things in your own voice, making things match with your own conclusions and viewpoint. I'll give a really quick shout out to a couple of things that may not be as widely known. One is Sealed Flow. This is a new dictation app my friend Steve Caldwell created. Unlike the cloud-based tools. Everything runs directly on your computer, so you don't need internet. The data doesn't leave your device, so there's more privacy than the cloud-based dictation solutions. The other one I would say is Claire Vaux's podcast, How I AI. There's tons of good interviews on there. I found out about a lot of good tools and details about AI tools on there. So that's it for me. Thanks.
Good one, Jason. Thanks very much. Now we are running. Having said that, we won't run over. We are running over slightly. We've just got two speakers left. So if you're all happy to stick with us, then we'll keep going. Over to Melina Wolfer at Pockets, I should say.
Thanks, Matt. Hi, everyone. One of my first sessions here, so bear with me. But yeah, I know we're running over, so I keep it really light. I'm the founder of Pockets. We're a startup aimed at democratizing and modernizing international marketing in the music industry. And we're very much still in the development stages. And I myself am more of a creative and strategy person, so I can't really speak on the tech and development side of things. But yeah, given that we're running over, I think most of the tools that I was going to bring up have already been mentioned by numerous people. So I'm going to keep it really light and short. I think the only thing that Matt has asked me to speak on that he thought was worth touching on was AI templates in CapCut. So that's obviously TikTok's sort of content creation tool. And working more on the front line directly with artists and on music campaigns, we've developed a few AI sort of CapCut templates for artists. They're essentially ready to use AI video templates that sort of automatically add transitions, effects, pacing, captions, and that sort of stuff directly in CapCut. And yeah, it's based on the user's input, whether they input a personal photograph or a video. And yeah, the AI essentially sort of automatically adds any effects that we've pre-programmed. And it really kind of allows us and our teams to sort of creatively brainstorm ways in which fans can connect with the artist and the world they've created around an album or a song, and in which they can interact with, a track on TikTok or short form platforms in general. And yeah, it just makes it sort of really easy and fun for fans, as well as sort of just generally sparking discovery and UGC on the platform. So yeah, that's the only thing sort of I can think of that hasn't really been mentioned here. And yeah, over to you guys.
Thank you so much, Melina. Thanks for your brevity. Appreciate that. And then over to our last speaker, Franco Caspi at Queen Mary University London. Are you there, Franco?
Yes, I'm here. Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm finishing a PhD at Queen Mary University. I am looking right now at spinning off using some technology that I developed throughout these 4 years. And particularly, I have like an initial venture that is called Mini Fusion, where we are developing generative AI software, particularly for live musicians. And the whole idea is to enable them to explore a broader sonic palette, to enhance sound design, performance, recording sketchings. And the idea is that we are aiming to transform their musical instruments timbre in a natural and malleable way, in the same way you would do with a synthesizer, but now you don't need to like stick to MIDI, to stick to these very old control paradigms, right? You can use your own guitar, your voice. And of course, we are designing an AI software that we are implementing in, for instance, plugins. But particularly what I want to talk about right now is like two things. I'm using more than anything Gemini because it was also free for students, really cool. And so I'm using it to write tests for the code base. That is absolutely fantastic. I'm also using it for assembling data sets. If any of you are familiar with training in AI, you need to handle a really big amount of files and assign labels sometimes. And that handling is one of the most boring Python codes, brain destroying Python codes that you can ever do. So, that is all uplifted, if you wish, by Gemini in this case. And also for customer discovery, I have this website, and I'm asking people who download the demo of the plugin to complete a questionnaire. And I wanted to show you very, very quickly, if possible. Actually, we don't have that much time. So anyways, I'll keep it light. So pretty much what I'm doing is like I have this big CSV file, which is like an Excel sheet full of like responses from different people. I'm trying to understand what are potential customers. So Gemini gives us this chat over which you can perfectly ask questions about what is the potential user base, what are the pain points, the problems, the possibilities, the opportunities. So that's really, really useful for me. And yeah, thank you so much.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you so much. And again, appreciate you bringing that as briefly as possible.
Yeah, for sure.